Hi, I'm Edie from Embroidery by Edith Ann. Each month we add a Dollar Delight of the seasonal bird. We put that on the first week of each month, and our Dollar Delight is each weekend. We have something we offer for $1, and then we usually also offer a coordinated, a theme type product in addition to the Dollar Delight that you can purchase at a discount. So this month, being coming into May, we have our May seasonal bird, and we've called him or her, we've called her May Flowers, because April showers bring May flowers. This month we've also added a short tutorial showing how to do machine applique. And I've had customers who have said they're afraid to attempt the machine applique, and I think, well, I really think it's much easier than doing it the way we used to have to do it. So I wanted to introduce that to some of you who may have not done it before, and I've also added a little bit of tips on why a color sequence may be the way it is, the way the designer has placed the sequence, and why you may not want to change that sequence. I hope you enjoy this tutorial, and I hope you find it helpful. Now, many times an applique will have some fill stitches first, as in this instance. You know, we've got the little feathers at the top of the bird's head, and one of his arms gets stitched down before the placement of the applique fabric, as well as his feet. So there are three parts to the applique. There is the placement line, and then you lay your fabric over top of that placement line. This is a great way to use up scraps. And the other fun thing is that you can use prints where it might be impractical to stitch a design down. The use of printed fabrics makes some really cute appliques. So of course this is a bigger piece. This was my scrap piece of fabric that I had from something else, and so I only need about half of that, but I'm just going to go ahead and lay that down. And then the second sequence for an applique is the tack down of the design. I'll take that to the machine and I will tack that down, and I don't know when there would be an instance otherwise, but the placement and the tack down are going to be identical. I can't think of a reason why that would be. I'm sure there have been times. What's that green thread doing in my way there? I'm sure there have been times when it would be different, but typically it's going to be the same as the placement line. Now, after the tack down of the applique fabric, you want to trim the raw edges that are on the outside of that tack down, and you just go around your tack down stitch, and you do not want to cut the stitches because that's going to raise the fabric, and it's going to be difficult then to get a good clean finish when the satin stitch comes across, and that is what will finish the edges, the raw edges. Now, if you're using felt or fleece or leather or vinyl, you don't need that steel or that satin stitch, because those particular substrates do not fray on the edges. So, but this is just a piece of quilt cotton, and it will fray. So I'm going to take this to the machine. There's going to be a few more fill stitches that go down. Eventually we will get to the satin stitch, which is when I'll bring that back here and show you. But right now, this is what it looks like once you trim off the excess fabric from the applique. Now, the satin stitch has gone around the applique, and if you notice, there's some areas that have not been given that satin stitch right around here. And what's going to happen, there's going to be additional items. There's flowers that go down here, and we'll cover that up, and you won't need that satin stitch covering the raw edges. Something else I want to point out, and this applies to applique as well as other fill stitch designs. A lot of times the sequences don't make sense. You'll say, well, like this first one had this medium pink on it. Well, so does this one right here. You think, well, why can't I just go ahead and stitch them both at the same time without having to change threads? Well, if you had, then this arm right here, or I guess it's a wing in this instance, would be underneath the applique. You wouldn't see it. So you always want to make sure you follow the sequences that have been given to you. For instance, the little feathers go down before the applique goes down because you want to hide the edges underneath that applique. And the same thing goes for this wing that went down at the same time that the feathers went down, because you want it hidden behind the applique. And the same thing with its little feet, is that you don't want to put these down. There's going to be flowers that are going to go down here, and so it's going to be hidden after you put those flowers down. So I hope you've enjoyed this applique tutorial. I'm going to take it to the machine now and finish stitching. This is the end of the applique, and there's going to be flower fill stitches that go down next.